I always joke that this ends up being the sports moment on the show. There always ends up being a little bit of a component, but we always love to do a little bit of a draft on the show. So I asked you to name your top 5 sports moments. So I've got my list here. But in true fashion, the guest has to go first. So I'm just curious, what is your number 1 sports moment?
So I have an unorthodox list, but these are what really stand out in my mind. So I'm going to start with number 5, 1994, Albion College winning the NCAA Division III National Championship.
Amazing. So yeah, we'll go 5-1 then. I like that on this one. And so that was what year did you say that?
1994.
Do you remember Albion winning the national championship in 94, or was this more of like a reflection thing where you became like more involved in it later on?
Yeah, so I appreciate you highlighting my age. And so at that particular time for me, I was a senior in high school.
Okay.
And Albion was not on my radar. And so when they won the national championship, that put them on my radar. So a local sports team having tremendous success, and then, having an opportunity to be able to go there and play really highlighted how awesome it was to win a national championship for a local Division III school.
That's amazing. And I have a local one too for my number 5. And the rest of mine are going to be kind of more general and a little bit bigger. But number 5 for me was the 2016 championship by the Great Lakes Loons. I just thought it was really fun to be there with my grandpa. And you don't really get that excited about, a high A team winning a Midwest League championship in this league, but it's just a really good memory to just kind of be in the stands and a day out at the ballpark. And it's a ballpark I'm at, 20, 30 times a year, but how often you get to sit there and watch a championship happen? Or I almost put the All-Star game on here, the home run derby, where, it's like you get to see Vladdy Jr. hitting home runs. Like, that's neat. And that gets to happen in downtown Midland. And it's pretty rare for a community like ours.
Yeah, what an awesome thing that we have here with the Great Lakes Loons. And the talent that has come through the organization, and for them to win that championship is awesome because every year the team that you start with isn't the team you finish with.
Absolutely.
Because they're going to get called up during the season, hopefully, and they're moving on to the next level.
And I look at some of that talent pipeline too, not just the players. I mean, we've had broadcasters here like Chris Vosters, who's went on to work for the Chicago Blackhawks, Brad Golder, who I believe ended up going on to work for the Rangers, and now Chris Mudhank at the helm, who I just think is an incredible leader. He recently received a stewardship award from Midland Young Professionals, My Pros, for his ability to help foster, a great environment for talent development, retention for younger people in our community, which we've talked about a little bit. And then having Brad Tunney on the show this year for episode number 2 in season 1, that was just absolutely incredible to hear him talk about being somebody who's sub 30, who manages a radio station, who has a team of other people who are just sub 30, and they're doing terrestrial radio in a nonprofit ballpark stadium that is an affiliate of the world champion Dodgers. It's just bizarre. So it's absolutely crazy. Yeah. So what do you have for number 4 for me?
All right, number 4, I'm going to go with the 2024 Saginaw Spirit winning the Memorial Cup.
There we go. Similar vein. I like that. Were you on hand that night?
So I was not able to attend the game. However, I was able to go to the parade that they had prior to the games for the kickoff. And what a tremendous energy that brought to the region, but specifically the Saginaw community. And you think that you only get into the tournament because you were the host team, and come to find out they win it all. And what a magical season that was.
It's pretty rare to have a team of that level come through and win that specific tournament. It was just fun to go over there and see some life in that area of Saginaw. My girlfriend used to live over there near the VA and owned a house there, and just being able to see some energy down in that space. And Saginaw is, arguably the capital of the Great Lakes Bay region, and it's just good to see some fun vibes over there in Saginaw. And I can safely say that's the only Spirit game I've ever watched on television. So we turned the TV on for that one. Here's one and again, this is one of my first sports memories. And not really memories, but one of the most important ones that stuck out to me at least. And I was a little kid in the Jordan jersey all the time. I'm not a Bulls fan. I'm a diehard Pistons fan. But Michael Jordan has really turned me on to basketball. And I grew up kind of as an only child with my grandparents. And I think Space Jam kind of set the tone for me in terms of, the music you listen to, the clothes you wear, things you listen to, things you're doing. So 1998, Jordan takes his last shot in a Bulls uniform. There was no push-off. People say there's a push-off. There's no push-off. They didn't call it, at least. So Jordan winning that second three-peat is, a big deal that culturally can't be surpassed. It's one of the reasons I tell I tell everyone, LeBron can't be better for me. It's like, I don't care. Like, we all have our personal opinion on this. It's just so important to me sports wise. So there you go.
There's always going to be a debate of who the greatest was, but in the time, Michael Jordan was such a valuable part of the NBA to attract and draw people in that, and it allowed for such growth that it's the end of an era. And what a tremendous career he had, and did a lot for basketball.
At one time was the most recognizable face on the planet, I believe, and just becoming a billionaire off the back of that shoe deal with Nike and being able to be savvy enough to get your own branding on there instead of the check mark all the time. Some of that stuff just can't be undone. And he was pre-social media. I know we probably could have tore him apart in the social media era, but he didn't have to deal with it. So he gets to ride off the backs of being the GOAT. It just is what it is.
Yep. All right, moving on to number 3. So this is an experience that I had as a kid. We didn't get to attend many sporting events. So one year my dad got tickets to a Tigers game, and I don't remember what year it was, maybe 87, 88. And so we go to watch the Tigers and in Old Tiger Stadium. And I was with my mom and dad, my sister, and it was a very memorable game, that just being there. But then to add to it, Lou Whitaker gets up to bat.
Sweet Lou.
And everybody starts chanting, Lou, Lou. My mom looks over and she goes, why are they booing him? And so to attend a game and to know and to follow the Tigers at the time and to be the hometown team, and then to hear a silly question from your mom, it really sticks out in my mind.
Tiger Stadium, what a great place too. I really wish we still had that classic ballpark, and I love Comerica Park, and I try to go opening day each year, and I'm a huge baseball fan, and that's starting to get some memories. Still hasn't seen a World Series, unfortunately. Had a couple chances, but still no World Series victories there even. So hopefully soon enough. But Tiger Stadium, it could be like, we look at Fenway, we look at Wrigley, and it's just unfortunate, but at the same time, love having all those ballparks all those stadiums near each other in downtown Detroit right now, driving that walkability and connection and rebuilding that community. And then also Old Tiger Stadium site becoming the PAL police, or I believe it's the Police Athletic League, or their league down there for for baseball and softball. It's pretty awesome to be able to see that. So my memory is also a Tigers memory, except mine's 2006. It's the Maglio homer. So Maglio knocked one there over the fence. That's a really, really memorable one to help us lift us over the Yankees to get us into that World Series. Unfortunately, we all kind of know what happens. They go 0-4 in it. And then they go 0-4 again in 2012. That one's more sour for me. I had World Series tickets to Game 5, and they got wiped out in 4. I wanted to take my grandpa. So still a goal of mine. I want them to get back to a World Series so I can take my grandpa to a World Series game. So.
Yeah, people talk about the Tigers in the 60s and the Tigers in the 80s winning the World Series, and we've been close, but we just need to cross that hump.
Absolutely. Got to get there. So go for it. What's your number 2?
All right, number 2. So similar, I went with the Loons home opener. So I think it was 2006, 7?
6 or 7?
When the Loons' very first game that they had, and just what an exciting experience, the energy in the community, from the start of the announcement to the quick construction of the stadium and everything that it took, but the years of success since then that the Loons have brought an energy to downtown, and to have that resource for our community of a town our size, that we're playing high-level baseball. And just the day that it got started, I remember it vividly in my mind.
It's so cool in that first season, too, to have Clayton Kershaw there on that roster, and then for him to be our first major leaguer, and for him to still be an impact player in the majors, unbelievable. He'd be a first ballot Hall of Famer. So.
Yeah, so at the time, you don't appreciate how strong Clayton Kershaw is. But to me, what was exciting about that year is Lance Parrish being the head coach.
Yeah, and he lived at Riverwalk Place in Gladwin, and which was awesome for me being from Gladwin County. So we had all these articles coming out in the Gladwin County Record about Lance Parrish living up in the top floor there of Riverwalk Place, and it was just so bizarre. He's living in Gladwin, he's commuting over this way to Midland, and what's cool about that is this ballpark is still such a regional asset. And recently, when I was going through Leadership Midland, one of my site visits was Dow Diamond, a place that I spend a lot of time at. But I even learned more from Mud Hank that day. And I'll talk to Mud as a personal acquaintance friend when I see him out in public or around. But I learned that day that if you look at percentage of population within a county, so I'm sure that majority of people that go to Loons games are from Midland County. But if you look at percentage of the entire county that goes to the game, actually Gladwin County gets a higher percentage of their county coming to Loons games than Midland County does. And that is just awesome and just shows you what kind of asset that is.
What a draw.
What a draw. My number 2, it's a more recent memory. So we're going to go last year. I'm coming off the fresh heartbreak here. We're recording this in, mid-January, and the episode will be out pretty quick. Still within the month of January, and, we're all a little bit sad about the Lions dropping it here in 2025, which I believe could have been their best opportunity to grab one. And, we hope they continue to build and still have momentum. I think they're still going to be relevant for a while. But last year I was lucky enough to be at the divisional game at Ford Field. 2024, that second playoff game against Baker Mayfield and the Tampa Bay Bucks, and my buddy Fetty and I, we had an absolute blast. I never seen anything like that before. I didn't think it was ever going to happen. So even to get to the NFC Championship game last year was absolutely amazing, and the dream stays alive. I guess we're bugging it out, waiting for next year. So
yeah, the Lions are doing some tremendous things. They've got a fresh look of life there. There's going to be changes with coaches. There's going to be changes with players, but I think they have culture and a mindset that they're going to continue to be tough competitors.
Absolutely. So here it is. This is your number 1.
All right, number 1. So again, a little unconventional, but I'm thinking back to the first day of MGL softball for both of my girls.
Ooh.
So MGL,
Heartfelt.
Midland Girls Softball League. And so, surprisingly, my family is mostly introverted, and my kids are no exception. So going out and practicing was a good start, but then opening day and having a crowd of people there, the kids wanted to just hide and sit on the bench. And so, you kind of push them out there. And then you look forward 10 years later, and both my daughters are playing at Midland High School. One's now playing down at Wayne State. And so they've really grown as a person, but just thinking back of where that all started at the MGSL opening a day softball.
It's amazing. Where was that one at?
So we played the games at Waterworks Park, which is most commonly referred to as Optimus Park. And there's 4 fields there, and just what tremendous growth of having an opportunity for kids in the community to be involved in such a positive asset building. And so you've got about 200 girls that are participating, and most recently they've merged with the Little League affiliation. And so they're continuing to see a lot of growth of numbers with the kids coming out and playing.
Awesome. So that's now no longer just softball?
So it is specifically softball at the Waterworks Optimus Fields, but MGSL merged into the Little League affiliation.
Oh, I get what you mean.
Before they were independent. So, come the end of the season, there was nothing to go to, where meanwhile, Bullitt Creek, Clare, Gladwin, Beaverton, they're all moving on to the Little League Championship, competing for the state of Michigan title, and we're on the sideline. Well, we can play in a tournament game with them, but our season's over. So we coordinated with the local Little League, and they granted us the authority to be able to form a girls' team and have softball with the Little League affiliation. And so this coming up season will be the first year for that, but creates some new excitement for the girls' softball league.
That's awesome. It's a pretty universal experience in Midland, too, to head over there and watch a softball game every now and then. Even for myself, being from out of town without kids, a lot of my friends have children, and their girls have played over there, and you end up over there once or twice a year, and it's just one of those specific places in town that everyone kind of knows and kind of has a little bit of a connection to. So that's awesome.
Right.
So for me, if I talked about Jordan's last shot in 1998 and that 96 or 98 Bulls being a huge formative piece, well, for me a few years later, being almost a teenager at the time, 2004 Pistons winning the NBA championship in 5 games. My grandpa and I popped with one of those fake Welch's champagne bottles at my house, and I don't think I slept all night. I just watched SportsCenter all night, taking notes, and then it was like the very next day I just wanted to go buy Sports Illustrated or whatever I could spend my allowance on, because it was just such a big moment. And then just to see all that energy around the Pistons, and now to be a big Pistons fan still and see a little bit of energy come back, I think there's work to be done to invite some younger fans back into the fold, because they haven't had those experiences at all. And if you didn't see that one, if you're really any younger than about 32, 31, 30, you probably don't remember a winning Pistons team. So at this point in time, it's about time to get them back on the roll. But for me, that was the one that pounded it home to kind of really continue forming who I was and things I was into, and continue playing basketball and continue looking up to those guys. So
yeah, I think that the Pistons team at that time, really like the Lions team, and unified the state, unified the community. You can't help but get behind them. I mean, it's just punch the clock, go to work, come home, and they had that tough defensive mentality, and a lot of success. Glad they were able to win the championship, and not just win it, but dominate.
Subscribe wherever you consume media. Max Loves Midland is your entertainment, resources, and collective improvement hub for Midland County. Plan your next adventure in Midland at maxlovesmidland.com.